'Cause We're Nerds, the podcast that covers trends and new releases in comics, movies, video games, board games, and much more. I'm your host Caleb, and with me is my brother Jacob.
Hey everybody.
2019 is upon us, and we're celebrating it with our month-long Level Up series. Today, we're looking at virtual reality, better known as VR. Is the virtual world becoming reality in gaming? Is it really the next step for entertainment? Or is it a gimmick for the hardcore fans? Find out on this week's episode of 'Cause We're Nerds. Welcome back, everybody, to a new year, 2019. How you doing, Jacob?
Caleb, I have been great this entire year. You know, it's been a really great year, and hopefully it stays that great.
I'm glad that you've had a great year because my year has already been trash.
Yeah, you've been sick, haven't you?
I have been sick. So we took last week off, and it was supposed to be a nice, restful week. And it kind of was because I was forced to stay in bed or on the couch because I was sick. I missed the whole week of work, and so I didn't get to do really anything I wanted to do except just watch TV, because that's all I could do.
But did you get to play any games?
Not really. I'll get into that a little bit. But for this past week, at least, I've gotten a little bit better the last 2 days. I'm feeling about 90% now. Still get some coughing coming on, which is weird because I normally only get sick like once a year. And even though technically this is the next year, it's too close to be sick because I was just sick like 3 months ago, I think.
Yeah, Caleb, the next, 340 plus days, you can't be sick. So, good luck.
Well, yes, welcome back, everybody. I hope that you had a fantastic New Year's celebration. And with New Year's, everybody always does New Year's resolutions. So, if you have one, please let us know. Put it on our Facebook page or tweet at us on Twitter, send us an email. Jacob, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Caleb, I have a few, I'm planning to get out and do some things that I normally don't do. I want to get out and go hiking a bit more this year and just try some things that I haven't tried before, and the typical lose weight, but we all know that's gonna be over in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Courtney and I are doing that too, and man, it's been rough. I haven't had a soft drink since Monday. I haven't had a soft drink since Monday. It's like 5 days.
Wow.
I usually have a few a day, so that's been a struggle. Today we tried cauliflower grilled cheese.
I would say that sounds disgusting, but I've actually tried cauliflower rice, and it was pretty good.
It was not good. It was very bad.
Well,
it was. In fact, after I ate it, every time I thought about it, I started to get queasy. Just not good.
No. Did you guys make it, or did you go somewhere?
Oh no, we made it. It took 2 hours.
Wow. And you took one bite and you were like, yep, that's what I thought, and just open the trash can, slide it in?
No, it was one of those that gradually got worse. Like, when I started eating it, I was like, well, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. And then I ate like a third of it, and I was like, nope. And then Courtney looked at me, and she's like, you have to eat more. I was like, no. And then I ate like most of it. There's only like maybe 2 bites left, but that really turned me off on cauliflower.
Your mind was trying to tell you, the first bite you actually hated it, but your mind was like, you worked really long on this, you probably should like it. And then as you went on, your mind was like, yeah, this is awful.
I ended up going to the pantry and grabbing some seasoning and putting it on it. And it didn't help, so I grabbed a different one and tried it. And then I put too much on it, and it was just...
no.
It was just not a good experience.
Man, I'm sorry. I know that stinks.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm trying to dedicate a little bit more time to my Japanese studies. If you don't know, I've been trying to learn Japanese over the past year or so. I'm actually working with a Japanese person that's here in the States with us for the next couple of months, and maybe read a little bit more. I don't know, trying to do more stuff I enjoy, and being a little bit more responsible, getting the stuff I have to get done so that I can enjoy things a little bit more.
You got 2019. It's the year to treat yourself, Caleb.
No, it's not. It's the year to no longer eat food.
Well, not treat yourself as in eating food. Treat yourself as in, get the stuff that you have to do out of the way, so that way you can just sit down, relax, not have to worry about anything. Well, that's easier said than done. But...
Right. And part of trying to get a little bit more fit is because we are planning on going to Japan next year. And Jacob, I think you're tagging along with us.
Oh yeah! I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's super exciting. But I need to be a little bit more fit so I can walk more. And that's also kind of why I'm doing the Japanese thing. Although I would like to know Japanese, but
Caleb, for our viewers, why don't you count to 5 for them?
In Japanese?
No, in English.
1, 2.
Yes, in Japanese.
Okay. Ichi ni san yon go.
Boom. If you can count to 5, you can go to Japan and talk to anybody.
Don't think that's true. But anyway, so as I said in the intro, this is our month-long Level Up series. And if you missed our Aquaman episode, I'm going to explain all this stuff now. So this year, we're making a slight change. Each month, for the most part, is going to have a theme that all the episodes that month revolve around. This month is our Level Up series, so everything revolves around video games. So today we're going to be talking about VR. Next week we're going to be talking about open world stuff. And the week after, we're going to be talking about the infamous, if little known, live action Super Mario Brothers movie that came out in the 80s. So
bow 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 bow
bow bow bow bow bow bow bow
bow. Beautiful.
That one I'm super excited about. So that's why we're doing what we're doing now. And let's get into it. So virtual reality, VR. Jacob, have you tried any VR?
Why, Caleb, yes, I have.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Okay, so my experience with VR, I've had a few experiences. My biggest experience would be at your house, Caleb. Caleb has the Oculus. And so...
That is incorrect.
I mean, sorry. Okay. Well, I would say edit this out, but I know you won't. So, fantastic. Okay, I've always thought you had the Oculus. You have the
I almost said the Rift, which is the Oculus. I have the Vive.
Yes, the Vive. Okay, thank you. So Caleb has the Vive, and we set it up in his room, and for those of you that don't know what VR is, it's virtual reality, like he said in the opening, and it's where you can put on a device, kind of like goggles, onto your head, and it makes you feel like you are in a new world. Everything is 3D to you. It would be like you were living in a movie, but viewing it from the actor's eyes. Yeah. And so it's a really cool experience. You can do whatever you want. Caleb has some, like shooting games. He has some, there's a little bit of acrobatic games, some flying games, and there's just about anything you can do. And I personally love VR. I think it's amazing. It's a really cool experience, and I think everybody should at least try it once.
Yeah, so in the last few years, we've had a VR explosion. VR has always kind of been there since, I think, the 90s. You had kids' toys that were quote-unquote VR, where it was just like a little drawing of a person, and then they'd get closer, and it was a different drawing of a person. Not really VR. And then a few years ago, Oculus Rift kind of blew up onto the scene, and they were really the people who pushed the idea of VR in the mainstream. And then somewhere right close to when they were getting ready to launch, the HTC Vive was announced as a competitor headset. These things that you put on your head, they're called headsets. They're bigger than goggles, but not as big as a helmet.
A good size would be night vision goggles that you think of.
Yeah, that's a good example. And so you really had these two big ones, the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Vive actually beat the Rift to market. I think, which was odd because it had been a secret, and the Rift was the one that had kind of been in the forefront of the public consciousness. But at the time, the big difference was the Rift was a headset where you would sit down and you would put the headset on and you would play games in a chair. While the Vive had what's called room scale, where you would basically put these little boxes on the corners of your room up high, and then you could move around your room. Oh, there's a truck in the background.
There's a motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
I apologize for that.
So you can move around in your room, like your physical space, and you would move in the game as well. That's kind of more what we think of when we think VR. Like, that's the full experience. And so these were like the really big things that blew up onto the scene. Both of those you have to take and connect to a pretty beefy gaming computer to be able to run them. The headset itself is just the headset and the tracking software. And so I have one because I had to get one, right? I'd been following it for years. In fact, I was going to get the Rift. And then when I saw what the Vive could do, I was like, nope, going for the Vive. So I saved up a bunch of money. I dropped a enormous amount of money on the Vive. This was several years ago, but it was like $800 to get it.
Worth.
Yeah, and I got it, and I set it up, and it takes some time to get used to, but it is a great experience. So, Jacob, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, for people that don't know, kind of like what I said in my example before, I'll use Fortnite because it's really popular right now. So let's say you're playing Fortnite, it's first person whenever you put this on, just like the eyes, like I said. You may think, well, how do you know what's around you and that you're not going to run into anything because you can't see and you're moving while you're playing this? Well, you map out your room, these boxes, you take the controller around your room and it creates these walls that in the game, if you step in reality too close to a wall, a wall of grids, a gridded wall, a grid pops up in front of you, letting you know that, hey, there's an actual wall right here, so be careful. And that's how you can move freely in the game and not actually hit anything in your room.
Yeah, it actually works really, really well. I was a little concerned that it wasn't going to, but it does. And in fact, that's one of the downsides of this whole VR experience that we're talking about is you have to have the space to move around if you're going to use room scale VR. And I think room scale VR is really, that is VR. If you're not doing room scale, if you're not up and moving, you're not doing it right. And so for me, I have this room that's probably, I don't know, I think it's like 17 feet by maybe 17 feet. It's almost a square, but I've got all my stuff in it. So I'm sitting in it right now. Like I've got my computer desk in it. I've got my chair in it. I've got a TV and a stand and some other stuff in here. And so in order to use the VR, I had to clear out the middle of my room and like Jacob said, mark it out in the software for that to be my active play area. And that was only the minimum, that was the minimum space that you had to have to play.
Mm-hmm. To get a good idea, I think a good adequate amount that you could play almost any game would be like a 10 by 10, the bigger the better, but I think 10 by 10 you could play just about any game and not have a problem.
10 by 10 is a pretty big space to do it with. What you really want is you want to be able to stretch out your arms on both sides of you, spin around in a circle, not hit anything, and ideally have another foot or two away from your arms on both sides at all times.
Yep.
That is a pretty good space to play this in. You can make it work with smaller spaces, but there are some games now that you can't play with certain smaller sizes. Like there's a game I wanted where you're basically in a arena and you're fighting people, but you had to have a bigger area, and I just didn't have that. So I couldn't get that. But that is one of the few negatives of this. The other big negative, I think, too, is probably having the beefy computer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's the downside. I mean, you don't have to have the beefiest computer. The problem is the less beefy computer you have, the worse it's going to run. It's like any program that you're going to try to run. And if it's not good enough, it just won't run it at all.
Yeah.
And
although you do have to have a pretty beefy one to have it run.
Yeah, that's true. So now talking about this, just so all of the listeners know, Caleb, VR and AR are different. So VR is virtual reality, where you're actually in the world. AR is augmented reality, which is where something that is not of this world is projected in your world. So the perfect example is Pokemon Go. Whenever you have AR turned on, you can see the Pokemon in our world and try to catch him. He's not really there, but you're perceiving him as being there.
Exactly. Or if you know the Google Glass, that Google used to do. That's also AR, as well as the Microsoft HoloLens. All of those are AR. Basically, you're wearing glasses, and then the glasses overlay a little menu or something on it. So there's this argument a lot of the times, is VR the future or is AR the future? And to be honest, I think they're both the future. They have different use cases. I think day to day, most people are going to come into contact with AR more because it's more useful. I mean, imagine driving down the road and a little menu pops up for the restaurant you're going to without you having to ask for it, right? And you can view it while you're just in your car or whatever. Because AR, by definition, lays things onto the physical world where we actually live, it's got more use cases. It's got more utility, like for actual stuff. But VR can be used for things that we can't actually go to. Like, they could use it to train astronauts on how to do things on the space station. They could use it to train anyone that they have to go into a situation where they can't actually place them right now.
Now, also saying this, Caleb, AR not only is part of the future, it's actually being used now in medical science specifically. They're using it in medical schools to allow medical students to see bodies that are not actually there, and you can pull up different layers of the body, and that way medical students can look at it and spin it around and actually walk around and see how the organs are placed and where the veins and arteries lay. And that's one of the biggest things that I've seen it used in.
Yeah, in fact, they're both being used in a lot of different places. I think the military is using them for training purposes. Definitely in the medical field, there's a lot of use. And then there's other uses. I'm not up on all of them. I think that maybe the aviation community uses it to train pilots and things like that. But when we say, is it the future? Well, it is, but it's also here now. And it has been for quite a while, actually.
And talking about the VR versus AR, there's benefits and drawbacks to both, like most things. The biggest drawback of VR to me, especially with VR, you could have it some with AR, but VR being the biggest one, is I personally can't use VR for large amounts of time. Since it is a virtual world and you are not actually there, your eyes are focusing on bright lights constantly to portray this world. And with that constant straining of you looking with your eyes into the lights and everything, it really can hurt your eyes over time. And it really kind of, you know how when you try to focus on something and your eyes are tired, you feel that strain like in the back of your eye. That's what I get whenever I do VR for long amounts of time. And however, when I say long amounts of time, I mean, 2.5 hours. I can do it for an hour or two and be perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. 2.5 hours is really where it hits, that you kind of need to take a break from it.
Yeah, and different people react different ways. Jacob, you wear glasses, so I'm not really sure if that plays into that.
Now, saying that, the Vive that Caleb has, I can wear my glasses with it, which is awesome. I can also wear it without it, though. It's a little bit different because if you're nearsighted or farsighted, obviously. If you're false, or if you can see better or closer, you won't need to wear glasses at all, But if you have troubles, you can actually wear your glasses with this, and you won't get as good of an experience wearing your glasses, because it's not completely pitch black around you, because the glasses allows a little light from the outside, but it's still so good that you don't even realize.
Yeah, it is really good. And, one of the big areas that VR is seen in, and we've already talked about it, is gaming. That is kind of where it's been pushed to the consumers the most. And I've talked to some people in the past, and the question is always, well, is VR the future of gaming? And honestly, I do not think it is. I think that VR is a future of gaming, meaning that it will run concurrently with what we already have. It will be a different experience, though, because it is a completely different thing. I mean, when you're up and moving around, you're active. It's tiring. It's exercise. I've got this one game. I've got several games, actually, but one of them is basically racquetball in VR. And I played it in our living room. I moved all the stuff out of the way, all of our couches and stuff. And dude, that's exhausting. Or another one where you're an archer in the middle of a room and you've got to dodge all the incoming arrows while at the same time firing back.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a good workout. If I could permanently set up my VR stuff in the living room and I did that once a day, dude, I wouldn't even have to go on this diet. I would be so tiny and so toned because it's just such a workout. And that's a completely different experience than you get when you sit on the couch and play on your TV, or you sit in front of your computer and you play on that, or in front of your smartphone or whatever. You know, it's very different. Now, there are some things that I think will make VR go more mainstream. Do you have any guesses on what those are, Jacob?
Are you talking about maybe the vest and things that you can run on where it portrays that you're actually running?
Okay.
Or no.
Those are good ideas, but no. What I'm specifically talking about is we've talked about how you have to have a computer to run these, and you have to have the little, they're called way stations, I think, or satellite stations you have to put up in the corners of your room for it to be able to track you. When you're playing, you have a cable that goes from your headset back to your computer.
Yes.
Now, if you're not careful, you can trip over this. It's pretty easy to avoid tripping over it so long as you don't forget it's there.
If you get so involved within the game and you're trying to, I don't know, let's say dodge an arrow or a bullet or something, and you run over to the side and get tripped up in it, you're gonna fall.
Right. And so that's, I think, the biggest thing is going from a wired VR experience to a wireless VR experience. There are some things that have come out in the past year or so that try to do that for you. I haven't tried them. I don't know if they're quite there yet, but I think that that's one of the big things. The other big thing that I think will help make this go mainstream is not having to have those satellite stations, those way stations in the corner of your room anymore. For me, I've rearranged my room this year, and I have not gotten a chance to put up the satellite stations again, and so I can't use VR. The way my room is now, before I had them setting up on top of bookcases and stuff, looking down, because they have to be up high. That worked great. Now, my room, I can't do that. I will have to actually mount them to my walls, and that's a big commitment to permanently mount these black boxes up on your walls so that whenever anyone comes in, they're going to see those. That is also a hassle to move it. So, like, if I wanted to move this into the living room, I would have to move my computer. I would have to move a monitor so I can see what's going on. I would also have to move the way stations. It's a lot of work. If you can eliminate that cable and you can eliminate the way stations, I think that VR will take off. Now, the other thing that helps is also bringing that form factor down so they are more like glasses. But I think if you can do the first two that I talked about, this would blow up a lot.
So just for the listeners, just so you guys know, and then Caleb, I'll respond what you said. The way stations, yes, they would be a big hassle to mount. I'm not saying they wouldn't be. But just so you guys know, the size that they are is roughly the size of a folded Game Boy, right? It's
the Game Boy SP. They're like a 3-inch by 3-inch by 3-inch cube.
Yeah, almost. It's a little bit bigger than your wallet, your average wallet, if you think about. Now, yes, I agree with you, Caleb. I think all of those would make VR definitely more mainstream. However, I disagree. I think it is going to be the future of gaming. And I say that because I don't think where it's at now, at least in the United States, is going to be the future of gaming. I think, for example, in Japan, they have these VR arcades. You know these, right, Caleb?
Yep.
So, picture laser tag, right? You know, you run around with your gun and you shoot people with lasers. Imagine that, but with VR. So, you can be in a room and it has all these walls set up, just like a laser tag ring, except for you're wearing a VR and some system, you know, that does VR. And imagine your Halo characters now. You know, you have your guns, you're running around. There's no cord because you have a backpack on. Mm-hmm. It's connected to the backpack. Mm-hmm. You're completely free to run around. There's nothing holding you in, and you have a huge play area. I mean, to me, that's the dream. That's something that is so cool. No matter what games that you like, you could implement that into anything. You could do Mario Kart for go-karts. You could do, you know, Call of Duty, Halo, mm-hmm. Gears of War. There's so many different things that you could implement, even down to flying and stuff like that. there's so many different cool things that you can do. And not only with that, VR, actually, I just watched a video on this the other day. There's VR sports that are coming in. Have you seen this, Caleb?
I don't think I have, actually.
So it's something really cool. The video that I saw, the specific sport that it was talking about, it was, imagine tennis, but without the rackets, you use your hands, and the ball is about as the size of a basketball, right? And so the goal is to make it hit the ground once on the other side. So it's kind of like volleyball, tennis, mix up. It's kind of weird, but they're actually starting competitions with them, and they have these rooms set up, and these things have gone pretty serious, and they have championships for these, and they're pretty cool. I don't know how many of these types of games they have. That's the only type that I've seen. But thinking about that, that could be a huge area for VR with talking about virtual reality sports.
Yeah, but see, I agree with you. I totally think that you have like a Dave & Buster's style place or an arcade place where you go and you put on these VR headsets. But that's not really gaming as we know it. That's more like laser tag, like you said, where it's an event, or like putt-putt, or like bowling, where you go to a place and you use it. Gaming as we know it is you sit down, you relax, and you use your hands and your fingers to move things on a screen. I don't really think that VR is the answer to gaming in people's homes. I think it's a completely different experience, all the things that you've mentioned, somewhere else outside of the home.
I could see what you're saying. However, at the same time, like Caleb mentioned at the beginning, whenever the Oculus Rift was first coming out, it was only set to where you could sit down. Now, saying this, they're all games that you can play with the Vive and the Rift where you do sit down. Like Caleb has this really cool one, a couple cool ones. You can be like a tank, or you can be flying a ship, and you sit in a chair, just like your typical video game, and you're holding a controller, or you're holding a joystick, or something of that nature. And that's why I think it's going to be more in the households. I don't think it's going to be games like, like that archery game you have where you get up and you dodge and stuff. I don't think people are going to go for that. I think it's going to be more of the, sitting down and just using it to have your head movement and vision. Now, saying that, I don't think people are going to do this until the price drops a little bit.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. The average consumer definitely, I don't think, would not buy this right now. And B, once they tone down on the size of the goggles, imagine having the size of, this would be years and years down the road, but imagine having decades even. Imagine having sunglasses sitting on the table. You sit down to play Halo, and you grab your controller and you put these sunglasses on, and all of a sudden you can see everything in the game, and with the comfort of only wearing glasses.
Yeah, and I think that potentially comes, but even if you have that, I still think, for the most part, 50% of people, of gamers, would have that. Now, this goes into just other future talk. I think everybody would have one if we eliminate monitors altogether, and your sunglasses become your monitors, because I could totally see that happening too.
I agree with you. There's so many, when you sit down and you think about it and, you watch videos on it and you've done it and experienced it, there's so many ups and downs to both sides. Take it, for example, disabled people can't exactly play VR to the full extent that it is now. And so I could see why maybe someone wouldn't want to put the money forward, to get one, because why, whenever you can just sit in the comfort of your own home and just play a game on the TV that you have now?
Right.
So it does have its drawbacks, and it does have its benefits, just like AR. But I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting to see the developments in the next, decade or so of what they decide to do with these headsets and with these, earphones and the boxes and just everything with VR.
And there was a lot of concern when the VR stuff started coming out. People were like, is this a gimmick? And for a while, people weren't sure. But I think that industry has actually latched onto it and is starting to use it in correct ways. Like sometimes when a new technology comes out, people will take it and use it and abuse it in ways that it's not really meant for, and it doesn't really work very well. And that can sully the experience for everyone because that's what most people see. And it's not a good experience. But I think that they're using it in really smart ways. Like, I think there's like hotels and condos and stuff that are letting you walk through the rooms and see what they're like before you actually go there and get it. And while that's, kind of a silly use in some ways, that could be really helpful to some people. And I think that that's really cool. And that's the type of thing that I think it needs. And so because industry has latched onto this, I think the development will continue. It's not going to be like 3D was in the 90s or early 2000s, where you've got those glasses and then it just goes away. And then maybe 10 years down the road, it'll come back. I think VR will be here. The form it takes will just change.
Now, not only talking about the new industries that set up these VR, lasting industries have already latched on, right? Like PS4 has their own headset, right?
Yeah, so there are different types of headsets. So we should probably make a clear distinction here. The types of headsets we've been talking up until this point are your high-end headsets. These are the top-of-the-line headsets that you can get. That's the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. Also, before we go on, I should probably mention that as of recording, Oculus has supported room scale for the last year or so. So they both have room scale now. So they're pretty much the same thing. What you would use to decide which one you're going to get, if you're interested in getting one, is their games library, because they have different games you can play on them, and also the specifics of the headsets, like the resolution, things like that, which again are very similar at this point. So moving forward, they might diverge a little bit. But yes, aside from your high-end ones, you do have, I think the only one on console is the PSVR, which is a headset about mid-range. I think it runs maybe $300 or $400. You plug into a PS4, and it is a seated experience for the most part, and it's your basic VR.
And I personally have not used that, and I don't know anybody that has, so I can't, say what I feel about it. But something that I have used are the phone VRs.
Yes, so I have not used the PSVR either. I listened to a gaming podcast, and they have used it, and they were very impressed with it, but it is the only VR they've tried. They haven't tried the high-end ones. The mobile ones, however, which are what you're talking about, are ones that are interesting. They're powered by your phone.
And yeah, so the way it basically works is, let's say you have a video, right? Instead of having the full screen being that video, the video is actually split into the left side and the right side, right? And so whenever you put this device, whenever you slide your phone into this device and put it on, just like the same headset, the camera alignment is not the exact same on each side. It's a little bit different to give you that perspective of a widening view. And so there's different types. There's certain games and videos that you can download that, yes, you have movement. You move with your head, and inside the video, you are looking around. However, there are also videos that are shot for VR where you do not have movement, but the entire video looks like you are there to the best ability that mobile phones can do.
Well, they actually have 3D videos that they've shot for this too, where it is a video, but you can look around.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So, these are the lowest of the low, right? These are basically cases for your phone, and they strap to your head. In fact, Google came out with something called Google Cardboard, which is literally a piece of cardboard that you fold up, and you put a strap on that you can put your phone in and use as a headset. These are not the best experiences. I've tried one. They're impressive if you've never done VR before, but if you're going from a high-end to that, they're not impressive. They're not very immersive. They're not great. They're just kind of there to get the people that don't want to spend a bunch of money in. Google Cardboard's one. Google Daydream is another one. That's actually technology that Google's pushing right now, where you have a Daydream-enabled phone, and you put it in this case, and it'll do it. And there's a lot of this type out there right now. But there is another category that is a little bit cheaper, that is mobile, that is a fully built-in headset that has everything in it.
I have not heard of this, Caleb. You're talking about the Oculus Go, right?
That's one of them. There are a few. I think the HTC has one. I don't remember what theirs is called, but Oculus Go is Oculus's one. Basically, this is the same as a regular high-end headset, except that instead of having to plug it into your computer or put your phone into it, the headset does everything. So these don't have as great tracking because there's nothing outside helping the tracking. Their battery life isn't that great because it doesn't have an external battery or power source, but they are mobile and they are self-contained. And those are the types of things I think people will latch onto. But the quality, again, they're not the high-end ones, so they're not going to be the best, but these are a good middle ground. I think that these run maybe around between like 150 to 300 maybe. I think there's a bunch for around 200.
Do you know how the storage and the games work on this one? Because for the regular games, for viewers that don't, or listeners that don't know, let's say for the Oculus or the Vive, like for example, Caleb, with the Vive, you use Steam and you download the games, you buy them and you download them and you play them off your computer. So for this mobile version, how does that work?
I don't know exactly. I'd imagine it uses some kind of built-in storage and you can expand it with a memory card. I would think just go get an SD card or something and slot it in.
Okay. All right. So now to make this, we didn't really talk about it earlier, to make this even more immersive, obviously these games have sound, right? So the headset does have a built-in headphone jack, so you could put headphones on if you wanted to.
Depending on which headset you're talking about.
Yes, the Vive specifically has a headphone jack.
Yeah. Now,
we don't use the headphone jack that much. We just use Caleb's speakers and turn the volume up really high. It takes you out of, you can't hear much going on around the house. And also, since you can't see any outside light, it really puts you into the game.
Well, now, I'm a little confused on what you just said.
Okay.
Are you talking about using the headphones or not using the headphones?
Okay, sorry. Let me specify. Caleb and I do not use the headphones. I tried them one time. I do not like them as much. Just because with the headset on and the headphones on or earphones, I feel like it gets a little hot, and I personally don't like earphones, in my ear. I think they get uncomfortable. So with the speaker turning it loud, it doesn't take away from the immersibility. I don't think that's a word. Immersiveness, that's the word I'm looking for.
Immersion,
yes. And I actually prefer using a speaker instead of the headphones or earphones. However, the Vive does have an option where you can use the earphones.
Okay, so when you're here, I don't use the headset for one very specific reason, and that is so that I can still hear you while I'm playing, or that you can hear me while we're playing, so that we can talk about what's going on. Because typically, I have the headset on, and I see what's going on, and then I also put it on the monitor, so whoever else is in the room can see what's going on as well. And so we can talk about it. When you put the headset on, your headphones on, you are far, far, far more immersed, but you can't hear anyone else. And so it really isolates you. And to some people, that's actually a problem, because it can be really scary knowing you're in a house and that anyone can sneak up on you and push you, and it would be like a ghost pushing you because you can't see them when you're in the game. And that has happened to me, and it is very freaky.
It is incredibly scary. It's so immersive that Boss Chris,
Ward.
Ward did this, and he does not like heights. And he did one where you jump out of an airplane and he looked down, and it was so immersive. He laid down on the carpet because it gave him a sense that he was not actually falling. And I mean, the same for me. I'm not really scared for heights, but whenever I jumped out and you see yourself falling and parachuting down and you land inside a building, when I landed inside the building, my mind automatically made me bend my legs because it was like, hey, you're about to fall on the ground. You need to do something. And so it's so immersive where you can really get pulled in and not even know that this is not reality.
Yeah, I've had some skeptics in the headset, and they are all always very impressed. I mean, you can say, oh, I know this is just a screen. That's fine. But when you're in it, it's very much different. I mean, I had the same thing going through that roof. I actually got really nervous getting close to the roof. I'm like, I'm going to go through that roof. I know I'm in a room and I'm perfectly fine. I'm going to go through that roof. And for some people also, this can be a problem because you can get dizzy. And so if you have any kind of balance issues, that's probably not the best thing for you to do, VR. But if you're healthy, you know, if you don't have any issues like that, VR, I think, is a must try for anyone. And when I say VR is a must try, I mean the high end ones. If you can find a Microsoft store or any store that has it out to demo, maybe a Best Buy, try it. It is incredible. That said, make sure that you're playing a decent game, because there are some games that are really cheap. Oh, and that's something I wanted to mention really quickly. There's a big thing out there where all the games are just demos. They're not real games, they're just demos. And to be fair, most of the games are very small games. Like, think arcade-style games, where it's one thing and you just play it over and over and over. Those are still really fun. There are some, and there were much more when it first came out, that really weren't very well made at all. But there are some big games now that are fully VR. There is a completely VR MMO that you can play that I have that's pretty good. Super Hot, which is a fantastic game. And
I was going to say, that's my highest recommendation for VR gaming.
Mine as well. The VR version is completely different. It makes the game very, very different, but so much fun.
I was just going to say, so super quick, 30-second example of what the game is. You're a character, first person. You have these enemies come in. If you don't move, they are frozen. As soon as you move, and the faster you move, they move too. And your job is to kill all the enemies before they kill you. You can do that several ways. You can shoot them. You can throw stuff at them. And so, if they shoot at you and you freeze, you can see where the bullet's coming from. And you can actually move left and right and duck and lay down and do whatever you can to dodge the bullet in order to take them out first.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's called Super Hot. Again, even if you don't have a VR headset, I would recommend that game on the computer or on whatever you can play it on. Really, really good. But that game is like the pinnacle. And that's a full game. And let's see, what are some others? Doom has a full VR mode. So does Fallout 4. There's a lot of big games that have complete VR immersion. There's a Skyrim VR version now, too. So don't think that it's only little mini games. There's some big stuff out there for it.
And yeah, I'm with Caleb completely. If you have a chance to try it, you don't know when you're going to have another chance to try it. And it's definitely something that you should give a try.
It's one of those things that if you don't try it for yourself, you might not be a believer. But as soon as you try it, it will make you a believer.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Jacob, that was that, and this is this. It's time for What You Been Up To.
Nice transition. I like it. So, what have I been up to? Well, one is I have school tomorrow, and once this comes out, this past Monday will be my first day. So I've been kind of, preparing for that, not only physically, but also mentally. And
wait, you work out to go to college?
Yeah, that way I don't get bullied. Duh. And so, just be preparing emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. But yeah, so I've been preparing for that. But I've also done a couple of other things. I built a Mark II arc reactor kit that I got.
Oh, yes.
It is awesome. It's, I think it comes from Motto Toys, I want to say. Don't quote me on that.
It was Moto, wasn't it?
Motto, yeah. I mean, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's M-O-D-O. So, but it was super cool. They have two different options. They have a plastic option for like 30 or 40, and then a full metal, which is 10 or 15 more than whichever price the plastic one is. And let me tell you, the full metal is the way to go. It's super cool. The instructions are pretty detailed. And it actually has a LED light inside of it that after you put it all together, you can turn it on and shine I might send some pictures to Caleb so he can post it on the Instagram page.
Yep, I was just going to say, we'll make sure that's posted. By the time this episode comes out, those should already be posted.
That way you guys can go and see. And again, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun to build, and I'll probably be ordering from that site again if I see something else cool that I like. I mean, you had to cut the copper wire yourself, and you used heat shrink tubing, and it was just a lot of fun.
I helped him with a little bit of it, and it's really cool. Like, it's all set up for you. It's a kit, so you get it, and you just follow the instructions. Really cool, though.
They have the Mark II arc reactor. They also have the Mark 1, and I think they were coming out with, like Mark 30 or 40 something. It was like a really high Mark, one of the newer ones. That's supposed to be set to come out either this year or next year. I think it's this year, though. I also started Young Justice Season 3.
Oh, I didn't know that came out yet.
Yep, started that today, actually. At time of recording, there are only 3 episodes out, but whenever it comes out, there will be 4 episodes. I have seen all 3 that are released to date. It's interesting. I haven't seen Young Justice Season 1 and 2 in a while, so it's weird jumping back into it, and they've changed the animation a little bit, and the music choice, like, especially, like, once the credits start rolling, is really weird. But, I mean, I think it's going pretty well so far. There's a big twist in the first episode, which really pulls you in. So I've been doing that. I have also been playing Fortnite, obviously, like I have every other episode that we've ever done. Trying to get to tier 100. There's an awesome skin that looks like Sauron?
Sauron from Lord of the Rings.
From Lord of the Rings, yeah. It looks a little like him, but frozen. It's really, really cool. And then the only other 2 things, I've been trying to change my room around a little bit, redecorating. I got some cool things that I want to display. One of those being the arc reactor that I built, and the other one being a Mjolnir from Legendary Toys. And it's full size, and it lights up, and it has sound, and has this really cool stand. It's awesome. It's really cool. And the last thing that I did is I watched The Bird Box on Netflix.
The Bird Box, yes, I watched that as well.
Yeah, what'd you think?
So this is one of the reasons that we ended a little bit early with the VR stuff. I thought we might want to talk about this because it's kind of blown up a bit. So I watched this while I was sick, so I was kind of coming in and out. This was really, really good, though. This felt like a movie that should have been released in theaters.
That's what I thought. I think it's really weird how people are saying, Sandra Bullock from, the lady from Bird Box, which is weird because I remember her in all these other different movies.
Yeah.
But
that's the old man syndrome.
Yeah.
When all the kids are like, oh yeah, that woman from this thing. And you're like, wait a minute.
I've made it. That's not good. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I didn't know how I was gonna like it. I had seen a lot of reviews on it, and most everything is positive, but it just didn't seem like the movie that I would necessarily go for. But watching it, I really, really liked it. I won't say anything, even though I'm sure most people have seen it, but it's a thriller movie would be the best word for it. And it has a really good story. The action's pretty good, and the resolution and the climax of the story, everything kind of pulls you in. It didn't feel like I was watching an entire movie. It just kind of flowed really, really well, and by the end I was like, oh, well, I didn't know I've been sitting here, for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But, yeah, it was really, really good.
So you liked the ending? You liked the solution?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you?
So the surprise about the solution, I had already thought about earlier in the movie. So I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. But the actual solution for our main characters, I was like, really? That's not even a solution.
Well, yes, because, you know what? How about this, Caleb? How about you do your What You Been Up To, and at the very end of the episode, we can talk about spoilers about it. That way, in case anybody hasn't seen it, they can go ahead and shut it off at the end.
Okay, that's fine. So we won't do spoilers until then.
Okay, so, Caleb, What you been up to?
All right. Well, as I said, I've been sick. So I watched a lot of stuff on TV, like a lot. So I'm just going to run down this list pretty quickly. I'll talk a little bit about each one. If you want to talk about any of them, Jacob, just jump in, interrupt me. So I watched a lot of movies. The first one I watched was a documentary on Netflix about Funko, the company that makes all the pops, called Making Fun, the Story of Funko. It's kind of long. It's not exactly what I expected out of the documentary, but it was really cool to see how they grew from this company, and I think founded in 98, which they're older than I thought they were, all the way up until now where they're like the collectible. They're like the new Beanie Baby. So that was really cool. And then at the end also of that movie, you get to see their new headquarters open up and the store, which is really, really cool. That kind of made the whole thing worth it for me.
Yeah, I want to go.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The documentary is decent. Not a high recommend, but a recommend nonetheless. Let's see. Next, I rewatched Unbreakable, which I've talked about on the show a couple times.
What did you watch it on?
We rented it. We have an Apple TV, so we rented it through iTunes.
Okay, I haven't seen it, and I want to see it because I want to go see that new movie, Glass.
Yeah.
Mr. Glass.
So it's only $4 to rent it. I know you guys have an Apple TV. So, definitely I would recommend renting it. It holds up. It's still really good. I didn't realize it's quite as old as it is. It came out in 2000, which means it was before the superhero craze. Like the only superhero movies that would have come out before that obviously would have been the Batman and Superman movies from the 70s and 80s and 90s. And then like Blade. But other than that, it is like devoid of any of the other superhero stuff that's come since. And you kind of get that feeling. It's a little bit, the pacing is a little bit slower than I expected. It's kind of got that early 2000s pacing where everything kind of lingers a bit. There's a lot of fades to new scenes, but it's still really good. It holds up really well. It's definitely worth a watch, especially if you're going to go see Glass.
Okay. Sweet. I'll have to check it out.
It was Courtney's first time watching it, and she really liked it. So, also, we watched, to prepare for Glass, we watched Split, because neither of us...
not seen that.
Yeah, neither of us had seen Split. This one we couldn't find anywhere to rent for a decent price, so we got it from Redbox, which I guess is renting, but I meant digitally renting.
Which is actually the best price out of anything you could have rented it for, probably. Right.
So we got it on Blu-ray, so it was like $2 out of Redbox and watched it, and it's very different. If you've seen the previews, you know kind of what it's about, like a guy that's split personality that kidnaps these girls, and it's kind of that story, how that unfolds. It ends up differently than I thought it would. It's very interesting. Also, I found out the main character, his name is Kevin, the guy with the split personalities.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually a character in the original script for Unbreakable.
Oh, really?
Yep. I read some interviews with M. Night Shyamalan, the director, and he said some of the scenes were written 15 years ago, and he didn't change them at all. He just dropped them into this movie. But he originally was in Unbreakable, and he took him out. And so the fact that like they're leading to a team up is kind of cool, because it's like they were always meant to be that way.
That's really cool. It's interesting that they went back to the old script, one of the original scripts for Unbreakable, and just pulled those scenes out.
I know. That is interesting, but it's cool. The movie itself is really good. It's also kind of a thriller. It's not really horror. There's some horror overtones, but it's much more of a thriller. Really, really good. I would highly recommend it. James McAvoy, phenomenal in the role. And also, if I would have seen this when it came out, and I didn't know that it was connected to Unbreakable, I would have freaked out, because there's like this little tag at the end. It's not after the credits, but it's after like the first minute or two of credits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it comes into this room, and it's on the news, what's happened. And they're like, oh, that's kind of like this other thing that happened. And then Bruce Willis is there, and he's like, yeah, Mr. Glass. And it was like, what?
That's cool. That's cool.
But anyway, highly recommend both of those, especially if you're going to go see Glass, which I am planning on seeing. Oh, goodness. What else did I see? Bumblebee. I saw Bumblebee.
How was that?
I was very surprised. I've talked about on the show before how the last Transformers movie broke me, and I said, no more Transformers movie. This one looks pretty decent, so I was like, okay, I'll try it. It's good. I can say without a doubt, it is good. Is it great? I don't know if it's great, but it's competently made. Surprisingly, there's nothing really new about it. Everything that's in it, they've done before in the movies, but it is done so well. And there's not an overcrowding of characters. And there's not the teenage adolescent mindset that Michael Bay brought to all the others. Like, it feels like it's made by an adult instead of a teenager.
No more explosions everywhere you look?
No, I will say the finale does feel a bit Bay, but I can forgive that for the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie is really good. I will say it's confusing because I've heard it billed as both a prequel and a reboot, and I wasn't sure which one it was. And for the majority of the film, I was like, oh, well, this is a prequel, but they've taken some liberties with things, right? Which
I see.
I think they've done in the Transformers movies before. So not a big deal. In fact, there was even an interview with the director where he was like, oh yeah, we were going to put Megatron in this scene in the beginning, but we realized he was frozen in the Hoover Dam from the first movie, so we couldn't do that. But by the time the end of the movie rolls around, it is very clearly a reboot. There is no way the end of this movie jives with anything that happened in the first movie and onwards.
So, I haven't seen it yet, but I know that the animation of the characters is different, the design is different. How does that fit into the movie?
And that's the weird thing. Like, there's things that it's like I said, it's very clearly a reboot by the end of it. But there's things that they use in the movie that feel like they're trying to tie into the old ones where they don't have to. Like Sector 7 is in it. Stuff like that, where it's just very weird. The design of the characters is phenomenal. They all look great. The opening scene is all on Cybertron. It's like 8 minutes, maybe 5 to 8 minutes of the war on Cybertron. It is beautiful. They all have their original designs, which I didn't grow up with those designs, but they are still phenomenal. They work really well. You can see all the characters differently. It works well. This is potentially the best Transformers movie. The only one, I mean, most of them aren't very good, but I'd have to go back and rewatch the first one to find out, because I remember really liking the first one. But this one was that good. I mean, I said it wasn't great, but the more I'm thinking about it, it's pretty close to great.
Oh, wow. I will have to say, I wanted to see it. I just haven't got a chance to it yet, but I've wanted to see it.
Yeah, if they had been like this the whole time, then I don't think anybody would have issues with them.
Interesting.
So let's see, what next? Bird Box, obviously, we'll talk about it again in a few minutes. On to TV. Oh, goodness. I'm talking too much. I finished Titans.
Thoughts?
So I remember you saying the last episode went in an odd direction. And after watching it, I understand why. I really enjoyed it, actually. But, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. You didn't say anything. It is strange as a season finale. And I found out why. This season has 11 episodes. It was supposed to have 12. They filmed 12. And then it got a second season order before the series came out. And they took that last episode and they reshot some stuff and they made it the premiere of season 2.
I think I like it better as being a premiere than a finale.
No. The one that's the finale now. There would have been one more after that.
No, I know. I'm saying the ending credits of this one. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? The thing after?
Mm-hmm.
Was that set to be in the last episode, or was that always like a next season kind of thing?
I'm guessing that was always a next season thing, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so you'll just... Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
So the issue with Titans is there's not really a conclusion to the story they've been telling.
Yeah.
Most TV shows, there's a conclusion, and then season 2, maybe there's also a little bit more of a conclusion. But this is just a straight cliffhanger, like nothing gets resolved.
I also want to talk a little bit about this in spoilers with the board box.
Okay, we can do that.
Not much, but just a little bit.
I would still recommend Titans. Actually, I'm pleasantly surprised with it. There are some things I don't like about it. We might talk about those in spoilers in a minute. But overall, actually pretty good. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Awesome. I would also recommend it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Also, TV, I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball Super, trying to get ready for the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie that comes out very soon.
You abandoned Courtney.
Huh?
Did you abandon Courtney?
I have not yet, actually. I don't think we're going to finish it before the movie. The dub, which is what we're watching, is not going to be finished before the movie. The dub just finished episode 92, and there's 131 episodes total. We are, I think we just watched episode 82 tonight. So I've got 10 episodes left. After we finish with the dub, I might leave her behind and go for the sub, trying to finish before the movie, but I don't think I'll have time because the movie comes out on the 16th and it is currently the 6th. So not much time.
10 days. That's not a lot of time.
Yeah. So, the show's really good though. There was a strange animation shift in the newest arc, the Universe Survival arc, where it looks more like Z because Super kind of had its own look. But the show's actually really, really good. It got really good with the last arc. So recommend it if you're a Dragon Ball fan.
We're good.
I know I'm talking about a lot of stuff, but there's just so many good things that are happening.
Yeah, you've been sick too. You've had lots of time.
Yeah. So, I got a new instrument. For those of you that don't know, I play the guitar and the piano, and I got a new instrument for Christmas. It's a shamisen, which is a traditional Japanese guitar, basically. It's a little closer to a banjo, but basically a guitar. So I learned my first song on that.
You've tried it out?
Oh yeah, I got it together. I put it all together. I learned a very short song.
You should send me a video of that.
Mom, I sent a video to Mom. Surprised she didn't show you.
Wow. Rude.
Yeah, it's really cool though. If you've ever heard any traditional Japanese music that has a string instrument in it, that's probably a shamisen. So really enjoying that. Haven't got to play it very much, but there's that. And the last two things I have. I got Pokemon Let's Go for Christmas.
Let's go.
That's right. I got Pikachu.
Nice.
I played that a little bit over the Christmas break. I don't want to play it too much because my office plays Pokemon every February. So I'm trying to keep it for February.
So you don't get burned out on it?
Well, so I can play it along with them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. So
I got up to Brock, the first gym leader. I beat him, and I'm in Mount Moon right now. So if you know where that is, it's good though. It's really good. In fact, I thought the new catching mechanics would bother me. They don't. It's really cool. It's fresh. I like it. I like that you can see the Pokemon in the wild without them just being random encounters.
Oh, so you can you're not running through bushes and finding them or tall grass. You can actually see them in there.
Right. So
that's cool.
They're still only in the grass for the most part, but you can see them. So if you don't want to fight them, you can walk around them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I got the Pokeball accessory to fulfill my childhood dream of being able to catch them all.
Well, that's the only way to go.
It's pretty cool. It's got some limitations. It should be a little bit better, but it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. And then the last thing I did is today, actually, I played, and maybe a little bit yesterday, I played a lot more of Detroit Become Human.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, save that for the end. I just want to know what part you're at, but I don't want you to say it right now. Even though the chances of the listeners being at the same exact part as you and everything going on,
yeah, next to none. But I get it.
Yeah. Did you have anything else to say before the spoilers?
I do, but it's not part of what you've been up to. Do you have something?
I do not.
Okay, So we're done with what you've been up to, but I did want to take a quick moment. This is our first episode of the year of 2019, and the last episode we took a look back, and this episode I just kind of want to take a look forward and ask you, Jacob, is there anything that you're really looking forward to this year?
Caleb, the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is Endgame.
Definitely Avengers Endgame.
Definitely. Other things that I'm looking forward to. I don't have anything super specific, actually. Other than that, I am interested in, the Captain Marvel, which is also a Marvel movie, just cause it's different. It's a different type of movie.
Right.
So I am interested for that. And then, okay, so I'm cheating and looking at your notes. You have Shazam. I'm definitely excited for Shazam. Because I think that his comedy is going to be right up my lane, and I love comedy movies, so I'm super excited for that. I'm just excited to get this year going. Get back to school, get everything started, and just see where it goes.
Awesome. I've got several things that I'm looking forward to this year. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but at the end of the month, Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. I am super ready for that. I played all of the games last year. And maybe the year before. I can't keep track anymore. So super excited about that. Also excited about the Jump Force game that brings together a bunch of shonen characters.
Yes.
Not so much for the game itself, but for the statue that comes with it. It's a statue of Goku, Naruto, and Luffy, all together.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it does look awesome. So super excited for that. Obviously the Dragon Ball movie I talked about earlier. Shazam, I'm about. I'm excited for it, but I'm cautiously excited after Aquaman,
Yeah.
And then, of course, Avengers Endgame. And then something a lot of people are looking forward to, the conclusion of Game of Thrones, the last season.
I would be excited for that if I watched it. I want to. I just haven't.
Yeah, so that should be coming out the first part of this year. I think they said April is the premiere of that, so excited. And then also My Hero Academia Season 4, because that show is just the best. So, yeah.
Now, really quick, I know I said that's it for what you've been up to. I had one last thing that I just remembered. This is something that's unlike me. I watched a documentary.
Okay.
On the DC Universe app, actually.
When you say DC Universe, be a little bit more specific, because we've got a lot of things called that now.
The DC streaming service.
Oh, you watched a documentary on that service, not about that service.
Yes. Sorry. I understand how that could be confusing. Yeah, it's older. It's from when The Dark Knight came out. It's 2008. But it's on Batman tech. And
I might have seen this before.
Yeah, it's super interesting. It's basically how they used real life applications of the tech that Batman uses and implemented into the movie and gave their own spin on them, right? And also of how they were able to do some things in the movie that, for example, Batman's bike, the motorcycle in the movie, something like that hadn't been done before. And it's super interesting because something they said in the movie is that motorcycle actually has two motors. There's one in each wheel, which I didn't know. And that's super interesting. That's how they're not connected at all and they had to sync them together, But yeah, it was actually really interesting.
Yeah, so there's a featurette on the Blu-ray for The Dark Knight. It might be the same thing you're talking about, but I've seen that.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah, and it's very, very interesting. Definitely check that out if you can.
Yeah, I would definitely say check it out, especially if you like Batman, or if you're just if you're a science person. It has a lot of really cool science applications in it. That's really interesting.
Okay, well, so, I think that's it. We're about to go into spoilers. If you jump to the end of the episode, you can find out what we're doing next week if you forgot from when I said it earlier.
And of course, here are the after credits.
And yeah, here are awesome, funny after the credits, whatever it ends up. And, I don't even know.
In case you're new and you never stick around, there's almost always an after credit scene
Stinger.
after this. Yeah, it's something that, was either said during the recording or something that we just thought was funny or, but there's almost always something.
Yeah, there's only maybe 4 episodes that don't have one.
That sounds right.
Yeah. After we started doing them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are going to talk about everything that we said, which includes the Board Box, Titans, and Detroit Become Human. So if you don't want to be spoiled on any of those, go ahead and Caleb will put the time codes so you can go in and skip a little bit ahead, just to hear about what's next week and the after credits. But yeah, so we're going to talk about those spoilers now.
All right, cool.
So, Titans, Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I meant whenever I was saying that there's not really, other than that one team-up session, there's not really a big team-up session in the movie?
In the show, yeah.
Show, sorry.
I was thinking about that as I was watching it, and I get what you're saying, but I disagree. Like, they feel like a team to me by the end of it. Mm-hmm. I get that there's not, like, a big team-up moment except for that one time, like, halfway through.
Yeah.
But they do feel like a team. They feel almost like a family, actually.
No, yeah, to me, it wasn't that they don't feel like a team. That wasn't my problem. My problem is that I feel like during the entire season, except for that once, they were always split up. I just wanted, an episode or two where they were together and had to go through everything together. And there wasn't really, I mean, I guess there was the 2, when they were escaping, that place and whenever those people came after them. But
I did find it funny that Dick kept leaving them. I was like, they'll get together. I'm like, okay, cool, and then he just wants to go off like every single time.
Yep,
like,
literally every time.
That's kind of funny.
So, what'd you think about the whole Batman episode?
I really liked it. I was trying to figure out how that was the season finale. You could tell something's going on as the episode goes on, but I wasn't quite sure how that was going to wrap up, and they were going to wrap up the story. And the answer is they're not.
Yeah.
So that was weird. I did really like the episode, though. It made sense that that's what had to happen to break him, to make him become evil. I think that what they did with Batman was really cool, too. All his villains look good. He looked good. And the little bits that you got to see of him, the story looked good. I mean, I really liked it, actually. I just thought they did a really great job.
I liked it too. I think it's a good design for Batman for that universe. I don't know if we'll ever see him again past this. I'm sure if it keeps going on, we'll see him eventually not in a Nightmare or something like that. But I thought the design was really good. It's more of like a kind of Michael Keaton mask, design with a little bit of like the body seemed more kind of like without the bat nipples, George Clooney's. It seemed a little bit more like one solid piece and not like a bunch of different pieces like Christian Bell's.
Well, you don't get a great look at it.
That's true.
But my impression of it was actually, kind of like that old school mask, like you were saying, but the body was a lot closer to Arkham Knight, which I think you might have said.
I definitely said George Clooney without the bat nipples.
No, I meant like in a previous episode.
Oh, wait. No, I did. It's not like George Clooney's. Because, okay. I thought it was like George Clooney's whenever I saw a trailer for the episode, and I saw him turn around, Batman, and I thought it looked like George Clooney's, but you're right. After I saw it, I said Arkham Knight. Because you're right. Yeah. Which I really like the design, though. It looks really good.
Yeah, no, it really does. And it's very obvious that they're pushing Dick to be Nightwing.
Oh, yeah. I was so excited. After he burned that suit, that's what I want to see. And if the Nightwing suit looks just as good as the Robin suit did, I'm going to be stoked. Nightwing's one of my favorite characters in DC, and I love his suit so much. Now, here's my prediction. Oh, before I say my prediction, what do you think about them introducing not only Superboy, but also his dog?
Yeah, Crypto. I don't think that that's the origin of Crypto in...
It's definitely not.
Yeah, in anything else, any other version. But I think it's okay. It's a little weird. It's very interesting that they're bringing in Superboy, though. That's a very powerful character. And in this show, there's a lot of powerful characters, but not as powerful as him.
See, here's my thing. I could see them bringing in Superboy, right? Like I could easily see that. What I couldn't see is the dog. Like to me, that's a weird choice. There's gonna be too much CGI with that, and I'm a little worried for it if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'm also a little concerned. I don't know if they're going to let Superboy fly, because Starfire never flies in this. Even after she regains her memory, I thought that she would start flying, but she never does, because there's times where it would be very helpful.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really weird because in the promo, it must have been from the final season, she had her straight hair again, and it had the entire team lined up. So I think that was from the last episode that they did shoot and they ended up not using.
Yeah.
So in the next season, I'm pretty sure she'll have her straight hair. It looked really good in the pictures.
Well, I actually came around to her design, like maybe halfway through the season. I was ready for her to get rid of what she was wearing, and she finally does, and then she goes like right back to it.
Yeah.
My issue is that she just goes around killing everybody, and like she wants to kill people, and even after she figures out who she is, she still wants to kill people. And I'm like, do we have to have a whole universe where people want to kill people? And then, like, I was disappointed when Beast Boy killed that guy. I think it's good that he's very remorseful about it and he's having some issues with it, but I still was very frustrated that DC just keeps wanting to kill people in their movies and TV shows.
But Dick doesn't. Dick doesn't want to kill people.
But
he's
he
trying
does.
to stay away from it.
Well, he's
true.
trying. He's trying
That's
to,
true.
but he still kills a lot of people.
It'll be interesting to see where they go. My prediction was, I think by the third or fourth season, I think it's gonna be fourth, maybe the fifth. My bet is fourth or fifth, actually, if it goes that far, that they are actually going to do a story with Jason Todd being killed.
Yeah, I definitely thought about that when he said his name, because I was surprised it was him instead of Tim Drake.
Yeah, so the way it goes is, it's really weird, because I'm pretty sure it's Tim is the very first one.
No, in the comics, Dick is the first one.
You're right.
And then Tim. And then Jason.
Because Dick becomes Nightwing and Tim becomes Batman. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I think you're right. But yeah,
Looking it up.
I think it'd be a really cool storyline to have the Red Hood, and I think Red Hood is a perfect villain for this show. I think he's absolutely perfect. I think the costume design would be really, really good. And he's just a dark character, and I think he would fit in the show absolutely perfect.
So, Jacob, I definitely was wrong about that. Jason Todd is the second one, which actually makes sense because he's killed, and then Tim Drake comes in.
Okay, so Tim does become Batman. I know that for a fact. So it's Dick, Jason, Tim, and then his Batman son. Yeah. And then
Damian.
And then the gold version, which is who he has now, but I don't know who it is.
Wait, she's in the main continuity?
I think so, yeah.
She's never been in the main continuity before.
Oh, well then maybe she's not. Anyways, I'm not caught up on my Batman stuff like I should be. But yeah, so I think that'd be awesome. Moving on, because I know we're getting a little bit farther into the episode. Detroit Become Human. Where are you at?
Alright. So I've played as Connor a few more times. It took me a while to realize, because at the beginning of my game, Connor died.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, he died in my game, too.
Yeah, he jumped over the edge to save the girl.
Oh, wait. No, he didn't. Yeah, my game didn't. He didn't jump over the edge. I had the guy shot.
Yeah. So, in my game, he died. So, I was very surprised when he came back. And then I figured out he's Mark II. It's
interesting.
It's really good. Let's see. I'm trying to think what's happened. With Marcus, his owner has died.
Okay.
And he was killed.
Okay. Yeah, mine too.
And then he wakes up in a graveyard.
Yep.
In a really creepy but awesome sequence.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And now he has found the people at Jericho.
Interesting.
And he has gone and he has robbed CyberLife to get some of their components.
Okay, so did you beat that mission at CyberLife?
Yeah, like I got the truck and I got the blood and I got a whole bunch of people to follow me.
Okay, a couple questions about that. One, did you kill the guards?
No, but I knocked them out.
Okay, same here. did you kill the false security guard that came around and caught you?
No.
Okay. And did you get the android on the docks to come with you?
Yeah, the 3?
The one. There's the one walker on the docks that comes around.
No, I didn't see him. So I got
wow.
I got the guy that finds you the first time.
Okay.
He came with me, and then I opened a crate, and there's 3 others that come with me.
All right, yeah. So, on mine, when the walker came up and caught us, there was also an android that came up and caught us at the same time.
Oh, mine was an android.
Mine was, sorry, the first one was an android, the second one was a guard, and the android knocked out the guard for me.
Oh, okay. No. I held the android, and the guard just left.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I like hearing the differences. Right now, Caleb, I can tell you, starting from where you're at, the choices really matter.
Well, let me tell you, there's been some doozies of choices so far. Especially with Kara.
Oh, I know.
Did you go to that dude's house?
Which dude's house? I'm forgetting.
The creepy dude that they're like, go here and he'll help you.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd that end up?
So I got captured.
Mm-hmm.
And they started transferring my data.
Mm-hmm.
I escaped. And the guy ended up dying.
How'd you escape?
So, I didn't escape by time, so my memory should have been wiped, and my memory was wiped. I regained my memories by looking at things, right?
Oh.
And I ran up and got caught, and I had to hide in different rooms, and then I went outside, and the big android decided to follow us and shot the guy in the leg, and then the other androids killed him.
Which other androids?
The other androids that he had been working on, experimenting on, they all came out of the house really creepily and killed him.
Oh, you let them out?
Yeah.
Okay, so mine was very similar. I didn't lose my memory, though. I got out in time.
Nice.
I almost let out the bear. I was very close to letting out the bear.
I almost did, too. I really wanted to, and then he came in the room as I was right there. I was like, ah!
Yeah. So I got the girl, and I started leaving, and then I got caught. So then I had to, run out without getting shot.
Oh, interesting.
Which was really cool.
Oh, wait. No, I did too, actually, I think.
Yeah. And then the same thing happened. I got out. Although my guy didn't shoot him. He grabbed the gun and threatened him. And then the others came out and killed him.
That may have been what happened, although I feel like he actually shot him in the knee. I could be wrong, but I think he shot him.
Yeah.
Anywho, and the last one, the board box. What I wanted to say was the ending in the movie is not the same in the book. Or the original ending set to be in the movie.
I don't think that I knew it was a book.
It's either a book or this is not the original. I think originally... No, I'm pretty sure it's a book. It's either a book or in the original script, they originally, instead of going to a blind, school for the blind, they ended up all cutting their eyes out to live.
See, I thought about that too.
Yeah.
So,
but, they said it was too dark for the movie, so...
Yeah, so, I had thought earlier, I was like, well, all the blind people are going to be fine, because they can't see this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about cutting out the eyes, but I thought there'd be a solution, or our main characters would die. But you get to the end, there is no solution. The solution is, well, at first I thought they were going to stay in the building. Come to find out, it's not all covered. There's outside parts to it. And they're like, oh, yeah, just the birds just warn you.
No, it is covered. Up on the top, there's a giant canvas covering it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's around the whole thing, because the guy says when they come near, the birds warn the sighted people.
Yeah, I still think, I think it's covered. I think that's only for whenever they go out on, for scavenging stuff. I'm pretty sure the entire thing is covered and it has vines, so there's enough holes to let a little bit of light come in, but I don't think those creatures, get on top and do anything.
Okay.
But did you see the design for the creatures?
I read an interview where they talked about it and how it was really funny, and so they didn't use it.
Yeah. So there was 2 reasons they didn't use it. one, they decided to just cut it down to make the movie fit, and they thought it was more menacing without seeing them.
Which it is.
The second reason, Sandra Bullock could not stop laughing from how they looked. And how they looked is, imagine a giant fat baby's face, but wrinkled like an old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to look at it. It's I don't know why they went with that choice and not more of like a monster looking. It literally looks like it could just be a person. Like, it's not that scary.
Really?
Yeah,
I really liked the guy's drawings that were in the actual movie.
Yeah, they looked nothing like that. I'll send you a picture right after we're done, but it's not. I was kind of disappointed.
Oh, okay.
But
all right. Well, this is a really long episode, so I think, Jacob, it's time to wrap it up.
Yep, I am done.
All right. Well, thank you to Taylor Poole for our opening intro music. You can find him at taylorpoolemusic.com. It's TaylorPoole music.com. Also, check out our friends over at the CNC Power Hour, where they stream Magic the Gathering and video games throughout the week. That's on Twitch. You can find them. And also visit our website, CuzWe'reNerds.com, to find all of the news and info about us. Thanks for listening to 'Cause We're Nerds. Stay up to date with all the nerdy news and podcast drops by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also leave us comments and feedback at cuzwe'renerds@gmail.com. That's CUZWERENERDS@gmail.com. And as always, if you enjoy this podcast, we would love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Next week, continuing our Level Up month-long celebration, we talk about open world games. Are they ruining variety in video games today? And how did they come to be? Find out next week on 'Cause We're Nerds. And as always, stay nerdy. So I definitely forgot to write the ending, and I had to come up with that on the fly.
I saw that. You'll just have to splice it together.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be okay.
What should the end thing be?
You could just do it next week on Dragon Ball Z. I can't do that deep of a voice. So.
Okay. Next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Wow.
How was that?
That was really good. See, on the next week, it's probably Goku trying to prove he's the strongest, and then Goku trying to prove he's the strongest. And then the week after that, it's a bit of a change. It's Goku proving he's the strongest. And then someone else stronger comes along. So, I mean, that's basically the whole series.
Well, you're not wrong. But then a Goku from another universe appears.
Oh. And they both wipe each other out in the entire planet, and the whole series ends because everything is destroyed?
But then they undo it.
Oh, with the snap of their fingers, they do the reverse Thanos. Boom, 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 boom!
Well done.
Thank you.